Hi guys, Lefty here. Just watched a discussion on whether or not Batman should kill, and it got me thinking on a few things. So this might be one of many videos. This one is just going to be comics and issues with them, because anytime you discuss a comic book hero or villain, a lot of the same subjects come up. So this one is just going to be get those arguments out of the way so that we're all aware of them. Why superheroes don't kill? Well, for writing purposes, basically. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of character motivation and things of that nature involved, but those are secondary. The writers always have to keep in mind that if they want this villain to be reoccurring so that they keep using them, keep making money off this character for the comic, you can't kill him off. Therefore, kill him or her off. Therefore, no matter what, when this argument comes up, why does this guy not kill? Why does this person not kill? Why is it that we just keep putting them back in prison so they come right back out and keep hurting people, keep killing people? Well, that's because you need them around. Now, is that to say that comic book writers are lazy for keep trying to write new villains? No. You know, part of me wants to say yes because, well, what, you can't come up with something, but then you end up with this villain of the week thing where you don't have these long running legacies or things. I mean, do you think if the Joker was a villain of the week, someone that just appeared earlier on in the 78 years of Batman, that you would have Heath Ledger playing the Joker or Jack Nicholson playing the Joker or anyone doing the Joker in the movies today? No, because you wouldn't know who the Joker was. He would have been a one-off character and no one would have seen him again. It's the fact that he's a recurring character, that he developed a fan base of his own and became something more than that. And when in the early 90s, when the Batman character took a turn from the more flamboyant Adam West style to the more grittier, darker Batman that most of us grew up with, the Joker did the same. The Joker was very campy, very, very. He was like a prankster that it killed people, but he wasn't a evil, maniacal person. He was just insane. Joker today, especially one that was voiced in the animated series by Luke Skywalker, well, that he's just a unique character in his own right, and it's amazing. And it's because of something like that, because of what you saw in that character, that you got inspirations to do things such as, but not limited to, the Heath Ledger Joker, the unfortunately in the Suicide Squad, that Joker. You have a complex, yet it's at the same time oddly simple character type with this Joker that wouldn't have existed otherwise. Now, you can use that logic to pretty much any other major supervillain in comic history. Unfortunately, there is a point where you do get where you should be like, all right, this should be over with. We don't need this character anymore. We either have another version already, because that happens. Either that character will actually be kind of killed off or put to the wayside, forgotten, or the comic book lost rights to that character somehow, and therefore they have to make a new one. And a lot of times when they do make a new one, until that character gets some time to develop and become its own thing, it's more or less a carbon copy of something that was already popular. So you eventually get to the point where you have multiple characters that are pretty much the same guy, just in different places. So what you need to do is eventually write them off or eliminate them, or in some weird cases, because it's comic books, combine them. So writers aren't exactly lazy, but there's a point where, guys, we need something new. You can just lop this one's head off and move on to the next. Another issue with most comics are superheroes fascists. Now, I say that with a little bit of skepticism because it does come up a lot, but no, don't get me wrong, they're vigilantes. They're breaking the law. In most cases, they're violent. They hurt people. They break bones. They torture people. These are not nice things, not good things, and they do it against the rules, against the laws, for the greater good within their universes. But that isn't to say that they really have the right to do this. Now, if they didn't do this, we wouldn't have a comic book to read because it's part of the story. It's something that actually kind of needs to happen. It's been so ingrained that if you try to write a superhero story where he or she is not acting outside the law to some degree as a form of vigilantism, you're left with something not very interesting, or not something that a lot of people will read, and that's a problem. So those are three major issues. Back to Vigilante. In cases such as Superman and even Batman, they do things because they believe they know better. Unfortunately, this sometimes bumps heads against other people to the point where they end up fighting each other. Now, that becomes a whole thing where superheroes fight each other, and that's part of things so that the comic books will sell more. Advertise Batman vs. Superman. Not the movie. Not the movie. Well, what a lot of people don't understand is that that's not a good thing. In particularly during the arc where Lex Luthor effectively turned over a new leaf and ran for president. I think they made an animated movie out of this called Public Enemies, where Batman and Superman basically go up against America to find out what Lex Luthor is doing. Now, it doesn't even occur to either character that he might have actually turned over a new leaf and that they're doing all this fighting and really causing a lot of trouble because they're wrong. Well, it turns out, obviously, because it's Lex Luthor in the writing style, that he was in fact evil still, and he had another plan in the works, yada yada yada. But it doesn't even occur to them that that might be the case. They just immediately go half-cocked and just charge in and start wrecking shit just because they think they know better. If people reading this don't see the inherent flaw in that and the potential downsides, it's bad. You shouldn't be able to see why they're wrong for doing what they're doing. Even if they ultimately are proven right, it doesn't change the fact that they're wrong. And you see this a lot in many different type of comics. Well, we're already at 8 minutes. Let's move on to something else. Oh, the whole thing of comic books never changing, never, like, the characters aren't really getting older, never really change, constant reboot, constant changing, or trying to say that all this that happened in 50 years of history of comics only happened in a 10-year span within that universe. Excuse me? A lot of big events kind of happened, life-changing events, serious things. Characters have gone from children to adulthood. 10 years? 10? You do see that a lot, specifically in DC and Marvel. Marvel's done that too. I'm a Marvel fan, and god damn, I hate it when I see stuff like that. So, these issues do pop up in just about every major comic book series that I've read. So when I go on to discuss specific characters or certain things about a character, which will be a rehashing of some of the things we said here, understand these things ahead of time. A lot of what's flawed, as in killing the characters off, well, writing. whether or not they have the right to do what they have to do. Writing, it's all to make an interesting story. Essentially what it boils down to. And if they don't do these certain things and they repeat these flaws over and over again, you're left with nothing. And it's kind of sad because we like comic book stories. Obviously, they're sort of taking over the entertainment industry with the whole Marvel MCU, the DC animated universe, or the Netflix for Marvel, or the CW with Arrow, Flash, Legends, Supergirl. They seem to be growing in popularity and expanding, and we like these characters in these stories. But eventually, these medias are going to, this medium's going to run out, just like the comic books did, of places to go, because everything that we're seeing now we've seen before. That's why things have been rebooted or rehashed, redone. If you've got a major collector from, I don't know, last 20, 30 years, they can point to stories that they originally read when they were kids, to stories that they're reading now and going, "Heh, this is kind of the same thing." With television, it kind of happens a little bit faster because in any form of visual media, such as television, movies, and the like, you have to condense. So, like in a comic book, you can make a single story last multiple issues. In fact, some of the greater, more well-known stories last a hell of a lot of issues. Well, if you try to take that story and put it into a movie, well, there's a 2-hour segment for all of that. Or a TV show, well, maybe we'll put on 2 or 3 episodes. All right, that's, again, 2 or 3 hours for that. Now that story's done in a 2 or 3 hour span for that one time. So if everything else gets broken up and they go back to a similar story that's just like it, they'll reach that a lot quicker than they did in the comics. Because let's say an issue came out once a month in a comic. Well, that's 12 issues a year. So if they had a long, large arc that took up 3, 4, or more comics, well, that's most of the year. You're not going to see anything related to that again for years to come. Well, in this industry where they're trying to pump out as much as possible, as quickly as possible, you'll probably catch up to what they would have done, I don't know, 5, 10 years as opposed to the 20 or 30 that I just referenced. I mean, alright, we're getting a little long here. I'll speak about more of these things in different videos, but yeah, that's a lot of the main issues we're having with comics, and let's move on.